This is the Anything But Banker to Broker podcast. We're going to be talking to some of the industry's best and brightest about the unique pathways they took before stepping into broking and how it set them up for success. Thanks for listening. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. So today's guest is someone who really knows what grinding is. He spent 20 years working in his family's restaurants. At the time, there was a couple, they've scaled it down to one. But even before he was doing that, there's a few different career paths that he went down. So this is Marcus Powell. He now works for Aussie, covering Vincentia and Nera, as they like to call it down that way. Marcus, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown and tell us about yourself, mate?
Yeah, sure, Joe. Hey, thanks for having me on the show too. Look, I really appreciate it. Geez, rundown on me. Hardest thing in the world, talk about yourself, isn't it?
People often love to do it, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is, yeah, 100%.
So, like we were chatting about before the podcast, previous background, I've got a little bit of sales background, year 10 dropout, no real formal education. And I've spent the last 2 decades working for family business in the restaurant game. So quite humbling, quite hardworking, roll your sleeves up, get into it, and a lot of people interaction. I mean, that would be my professional summary of myself, I suppose.
Obviously, you've got your prior pathways that you went down that we'll talk to, but whilst you were doing these things straight out of year 10, were your parents still running the restaurants?
No. So, I mean, my parents made a full change in life. So, my mum she was a personal admin for one of the head guys at One Steel. My stepfather was his own, he was a business owner in gyprocking, had 40 boys working for him, and they just got sick of the life in Sydney. So they shifted, and within, I think it was just under 12 months, they're like, hey, listen, we want to have a crack at this. Do you want to come down and have a go? And I jumped at the opportunity. I was not even 21, and it was, right, so I'm going to live on the South Coast. I'm going to have a crack at, running my own business with family. When do you ever get thrown those opportunities in life ever? And I could do it at such a young age. I mean, like you've been down here, Joe, you've seen what the area is like down here. It's paradise. It is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, it was an easy one for me. It was like, yeah, let's just roll the sleeves up in and have a dig at it.
Yeah, beautiful. And you grew up in Western Sydney. Whereabouts did you grow up?
Yeah, so when my parents separated, I was between Parramatta area around Wentworthville and Adenza Park, which is, towards Liverpool, Fairfield way. So it was all that kind of middle income. We didn't come from a lot, but we had enough to do what we needed to do in life, I suppose, which was food's on the table, roofs over your head, and get to school, do what you need to, and that was about it.
And your mum and dad both did those jobs as you were growing up, right? So obviously you left home at 17, left school, and that's when you went out into the world to try and do your own thing. But until they started that business, is that sort of what they were doing?
Yeah, so as I said, like they were in Western Sydney and doing their own thing, and like me leaving school at 17 as well. My mum just looked at me and she said, look, you're a smart kid. You get really good grades, but you don't turn up to school. You don't want to be there. And I didn't. Like they just didn't have my attention. I had zero interest in what they had to offer. I'd go to the class once, do what I needed to do. And then it'd just be, I don't need to be there. I'd get bored. So it was, you need to get out and you need to go do an apprenticeship. Like I got that old fashioned parenting. If you can't do that, off you go get your trade. So it was, I signed up for a mechanic apprenticeship and realized really quickly in the first couple of years that getting dirty for very little money didn't really tick a box for me. I was lucky enough that I had some fantastic mentors in that business that helped me shift and move and progress forward into car sales. Yeah, doing the whole mechanic side, mate, hands to anyone out there that does it and grinds it out for their income. I definitely was not that person that was able to do it.
So it was very much, mate, you're doing something, you are not doing nothing. And that was the something that you ended up doing.
Yeah,
basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was like you're not going to sit at home and you're not going to keep skipping school. You will either do it or I'll make you do it, with a big smile on the face, obviously.
Yeah, of course. So you went and started your apprenticeship to become a mechanic. What was that like? Because from what you've told me, the curriculum at school wasn't built for you. Yeah, you needed something that was engaging, and you probably first found it was something you thought. First thing, it's got to be something that's hands-on and manual. Is that right?
Yeah. So the mechanic side did fit that profile. I was learning, which is actually I've found as I get older is like a big key piece for me. I have to be constantly learning. Otherwise I just feel like I'm not doing anything at all. Needed mentorship. I needed someone older than me that had probably been there, done that, and understood where I was coming from and knew how to guide me. And I was lucky enough that I landed that. Yeah, I think just in general, it got me out of that school atmosphere. I'm a key believer in, if your four mates are, millionaires, guess what? You'll be the fifth. If your four mates drop kicks, well, guess what? You're going to be the fifth. And I was definitely heading down that path quite a bit. So as much as mechanics wasn't for me, it was required to get me out of that rut that I was currently in.
Before we move on, like it's always a good thing for me to understand, like your mates that you went to school with, what did their journeys look like whilst you were doing that? Did they end up doing professional services or did they stay in that manual?
So, I mean, this is a very broad spectrum, I suppose. I've got mates that I've caught up with only in the last couple of years that I went to school with, and they've done well. They've got their trades, and they've gotten on with life, and they've had families, and they've been good at it. And I've had mates that got caught into the wrong end of where they should have been. There was jail involved, there was drug overdoses involved, and there's death involved. Unfortunately, that was part of the area that I grew up in. It's not something I tend to, voluntarily share to most people, but we're getting into the nitty gritty of where I'm coming from and what my life looked like. Thankfully, none of that applied for me. I think the apprenticeship and getting out of school probably helped me from that perspective, and getting out of Western Sydney probably helped me from that point of view too. But yeah, I mean, it's a very mixed bag. I mean, there's kids I went to school with that are super successful at the things they picked, and ones that weren't. I think that was just a bit of a 50-50 scenario there.
Yeah, it's one of them. Everyone's a product of their environment, right? And
Correct.
everywhere's got good and bad, but I feel like the
Mm,
difference between Western Sydney now and what it was probably when you were growing up, there's a big difference, right? A lot of investment has started to spill over to it. And look at Parramatta. When I first moved out here, that was
yeah,
really on the up. You get in NAB and some of the other banks setting up sort of your regional offices there. And it's now become a bit of a Western powerhouse, especially with
yeah.
the Olympics stadium and stuff there.
I mean, look, yeah. I mean, it is. I would say it's completely different. I tend to, not spend a lot of time up there these days because, like I said, I live in paradise. Unless I'm going up for like a business forum or something along those lines, life on the coast is just too good.
Yeah, no, that's fair, mate. Talk to me. So going from being an apprentice mechanic to then being into car sales, some would say that there's some synergy there, right? You're working with the same product, albeit in a different
Yeah.
aspect. But how did that go? What was the movement there like?
Look, I think cars were familiar, and I really loved the car scene. I mean, it was probably something that was really big for the area that I grew up in. Like, everyone was into cars, everyone wanted to spend money and, you know, buy these rotaries and bits and pieces like that, and V8s and turbos, and, obviously really cool. So it was a natural progression to go, well, okay, mechanics isn't right. Where else can I maneuver into this field? And I took an interview with the sales manager at Canberra Toyota in Phillip. So this was when I was actually getting myself out of Sydney, and, took a full shift. And I still remember the interview, and, he asked me a few questions, and we went through the normal interview process. And at the end of it, he's like, look, happy to give you a job, but you will, and this was not like a, can you please? It was, you will go get a haircut, a decent one, kind of like the one I've got right now. You will pull your earring out. You will pull all that jewelry off, and you will dress accordingly to the uniform I require you to dress to. If you cannot do those things, please do not turn up on Monday. And it was just as straight as that. It was just either turn up, pull your socks up, get on with it, and be prepared for what I'm about to throw at you, or don't come in at all. And that was a whole nother level of awakening about how this actually works when you are going for a job and when you need to be adulting and doing all these things. So that was a whole different step. But I mean, look, I loved the car sales side. I had super slow start to it. I think I was one of the worst. It just didn't click. I got to the point where the dealer principal said to me, look, Marcus, you got two options. Either we find something else for you to do that's not on the sales side, or I'll move you to a different dealership and you can work under someone else, and we'll give it 6 months and see how it goes. And I went, oh, you know what? I'll move to the other dealership and let's give it a go there. And technically, this dealership wasn't the most successful dealership in their brand. They had three in Canberra at that point. I think they've still got the three. And I still remember my manager's name, and it was Jackie Latham. And it was a whole different mentorship again. Once again, it was that mentorship that I needed. I went from being the worst in the company to one of the best within 12 months in new car sales. And it was just different in language, difference in how to do things, a difference in like how we approach the customers, why are we doing what we're doing. And once I realized that I don't have to talk too much, I just need to ask the right key questions and listen, it changed my whole trajectory. I went from scraping through to making really phenomenal money for a 20-year-old bloke.
Would you say that's because it taught you to spend time with the people that needed problem solving and less time with those that did? Or do you think it's because it just taught you that there's things that you need to understand in the people that you're dealing with that you probably weren't doing in the past?
So I think, for me, that manager who I mentioned, Jackie, she changed me. It was like a switch that changed, which was almost not empathy, but like, if you're going to do this, you are not the most important person in the world. Your client is the absolute most important person in the world. Your client is the one that's going to part with the money. Your client is the one that's going to take delivery of the product. Your client is the one that's going to refer you new business. It is all about the client. And it doesn't matter what business you are in, that echoes the whole way through every single business model. And I do feel that it gets forgotten along the way quite a lot. The minute you refocus, recenter, and it becomes, hey, this person has a problem that needs a solution, it all of a sudden becomes a lot easier, hell of a lot easier. Works the same for mortgage brokering. Client has a problem, need a solution. What's the problem? I'm the solution provider. So
As you're on this journey, so you said you've moved down to Canberra there. Is that when your parents are starting to make the
yeah,
decisions and look around and go,
they,
oh, Jesus? Yeah.
yeah, they were starting to get pretty sick of Sydney, and it started off with, look, we'll work 3 days a week, live 4 days a week down the South Coast, do 3 days back a week at Sydney, and we'll just do this long distance. I think that lasted maybe 18 months. And it was just like, nah, this is not happening. And my stepfather just went, I want to start a restaurant. I want to do steak and seafood down here. I just don't know how to do it. And I don't know where to put it. He found a location. It's like, right, okay, still not too sure. The delivery method, which by the way, the family restaurant, it's really unique, and we'll get into it, but like a whole different ball game. But anyway, they went for a weekend away down in Adelaide, and they seen this concept, and it was called Stonegrill. And basically this plate came out, and it was a hot stone, and the steak was in front of him, and it was raw. And it was a bit of a like, holy shit, man. Like, all right, that's a bit like in front and very like, oh my God. But they loved every minute of it. Like they just said it was one of the best meals they ever had. So on their way back, and I'm living in Canberra at the time, they said, oh, look, we've got this concept. I want to show you it. There's one in Canberra. I went, okay, right. So we went out to this restaurant, which was at the Vikings Club at that point. I think it was the Vikings Club. We're going back over 20 years ago, so the memory's getting a bit shot now. Anyway, they showed me the concept, and this plate's come out, and the stones come out, and it was this ratty old stone that had a crack in it, and the meat was just average. And we had it, and I've gone, I've got to be honest with you, please do not do this. I said, if it's anything like what we just had, I said, you're going to dump hundreds of thousands of dollars down the drain, and you're just going to lose money. Like, it's not going to be good. Anyway, no, don't worry. Look, you're going to love it. Just wait, we'll get it set up, and we'll do it. And they did. So they built this restaurant, and I came down to visit on the opening, and it was amazing. It was phenomenal. Like it was chalk and cheese in comparison to what they'd shown me. Like I was genuinely worried for them when they said they were going to do that.
You was in that business alongside them for the next 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I left Canberra Toyota. I ended up getting elevated to fleet and government, and so I was making even better money, better position, better hours. And then my stepfather called me and said, hey, listen, we want to start another one. I think I could use what you have to offer, and I want you to be a part of it. Come down. And I went, okay, just tell me, what are you thinking? He goes, oh, I want to put one in Huskisson. And I mean, as you know, Huskisson's like the hub. It's the central hub of like that JB area. Like it is the absolute food hub. And I went, okay. I said, so when are you thinking about doing it? He goes, I want to get started in 4 weeks. I said, right. I said, well, I don't know if I'll make it down there in 4 weeks. He goes, you need to be down here in 4 weeks. Just come down, let's get it done. And I don't know, something triggered me. I just went, it's like a bit close to 21. I went, oh, you know what? I could live on the South Coast, get into my own business, go swimming every morning, because I was a single fella. I could, wasn't married, no kids or anything like that. It was, different life. So I went, okay, stuff it, let's just do it. And I took the risk. I went straight to my manager. Hey, mate, how are you? yeah, here's my results for this month, which is a huge month, 100 plus cars, whatever it was. And by the way, here's my resignation. And he's like, what? He goes, why? Like, are you not happy? And I went, no, I love the job. It's great. And I did. I genuinely loved the job. I was like, but I got an opportunity that's just worth taking a risk and having a go. And I packed everything up, got in the car, drove down the South Coast.
Well, and what's the worst that could happen? Because you finished on a good month, you left amicably. If things didn't work out, there's a job waiting for you if you come back anyway. 100%, right?
Yeah, well, look, it was yes and no. I mean, like, I remember when I took the fleet and government job, and I was quite young. So most of the time with fleet and government, like the guys are about my age or your age, like you're a little bit more mature. You've been doing it for a bit. And the fleet and government salesperson left. And I actually said, look, I want that job. Can I have it? Like, I really like, balls up, let's go. My dealer principal goes, I'll give you the job, but if you don't succeed, I'm going to fire you. You won't go back to cars like new car sales. I'm not going to move you back or anything like that. There's no backstop. So if you don't succeed, you lose your job. Do you still want the job? And as quick as I could take a breath in, I went, yes, I still want the job. So even if I went back, as much as and he was a big mentor for me, my dealer principal, like there's a lot of things he taught me. I respected the fact that he wanted me to back myself. So I can guarantee you, he would have been like, hey, best of luck with everything. I hope it goes well and, come down and visit. But no, you're not coming back. I'm going to replace you and move on, and we get on with our lives.
What was that 20 years like, if you could sum it up? What was the journey? You went from one restaurant, you was number two. Did you scale up a bit more, or did you kind of hold steady on then?
No, we went straight into the third restaurant. I think it was about 3 years in. I mean, look, keep in mind, scaling restaurants, it's not like scaling other businesses. It's not as profitable. It's tougher. It's, there's a lot of moving parts that people don't understand about restaurants, but we scaled up. Like, we just took the risk. I definitely didn't really truly understand a lot of the risks, but it was like, no, whatever it is, we're just going to get in, we're going to do it, and we're going to make it happen. We lasted on that. I think those 3 restaurants, we ran them for about another 3 years after that. And then we just realized that it's not profitable. And we started having discussions about, like, how do we scale back and what do we do? Or do we change the structure of what we're doing? And it just came to, I got outvoted between the 3 of us, which is my mum, my stepfather, and myself, about what to do with it. I wanted to restructure and, work out ways to make it more profitable and keep going. For them, it was a whole different scenario. And there was another impacting part that went with it. My stepfather had a mini stroke at that point. So health issues started to come into it. So that became like an anchoring point to our direction, which was we amalgamated all the businesses and just came back to one restaurant, and we just ran one restaurant really well. Profit point of view, yeah, it went up. There was more profit in the business because there was less costs and a whole range of other stuff, less mistakes and, all those things. But very quickly from there, boredom set in for me because I'd gone from that kind of GM position where I had my fingers on the pulse with a multiple of different things, between staffing, locations, and all the rest of it. So you wake up in the morning with this adrenaline rush with like a billion things to do, and I just want to go hard. To like, we've got one restaurant, and I know that person's got that covered, and I know that's got covered, and I'll put my eyes over that. And it stops being about growth, and it starts becoming about how do we run this business efficiently? How do we, make sure it's profiting at its best with the least amount of effort? And whilst all along that happening, our customers are happy and our staff are happy, and we just keep the status quo. So for me, that's where the boredom sat in, because once those things are put in place, there's very little adjustment that you can start making. It's just about tweaking. It's a big lesson for most people in small business. There's lots of different angles between, am I tweaking the business to make it profitable? Or am I setting it up for growth? Am I taking, certain risks to increase what I'm doing? And it's a whole different angle. And it's funny, like a lot of these conversations that I get with small business owners, like they don't necessarily always get brokers that understand that. Yeah. And unless you've been there, unless you've done that, and this is nothing against anyone that's coming from the lending space where they've done that all their life, you just don't know until you know. Like you don't know what that pressure is, and you don't know how hard it is to go through some of those things and the risks that you have to take to get there. So it gives me a point of like contact and a point of like understanding of what they're going through. So I find that I resonate with a lot of the self-employed, I suppose, in the area is probably the easy way to put it because of that background.
You say the biggest challenge in hospo is that versus a traditional business scaling. Everybody really is an individual contributor, but they're an individual contributor at such a level where there's no way you can trust people to do everything by themselves. You know, and I think of like a brokerage, right? You could have 10 commissions brokers or 10 salaried brokers. They come in every day knowing what they need to do, and they leave every day knowing what they need to do. And all you need to do is check in and see where they're up to if you need to do that. Whereas with hospo, you know, it's a great job for younger people to get that experience and scale and skill up. But everybody needs managing, right?
Can I tell you, I think every industry should hire someone from hospitality. Now, I might be a bit biased on it, but if we look at like a front of house floor staff member, if you throw them in like just the one restaurant that my family still currently have, 250 people a night, okay? They will have 7 people working on the floor. That first setting has a 2-hour turnaround. That is entree, main, dessert. So they have to get clients in, they have to get them sat, they have to find out whether they've been here before, they have to explain the menu, they have to get them drinks, they have to get them their food, but not just for one table. They've got to do that for multiple tables. Then they've got to work in with their other floor staff members to make sure that they're all backing each other up. And then they've got to deal with the back of house guys that they're going through their own pressures and get a little bit, bit touchy about things. So I think as far as like team building, working under pressure, understanding how to deal with people and getting things quickly and efficiently, how to size people up quickly and how to deal with them. So like I can tell you one, not 100%, but 9 times out of 10, like you get a husband and wife that sit down for dinner and it will be all in the same old order, right? Particularly, this is all age dependent too. So let's go with a barrier of like 40 to 65, right? So it's a couple 40 to 65. They're all sitting down and have dinner and they open their menus and, right, honey, what do you want? Oh, what are you thinking? Da, 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 and they're having a bit of a chat, right? Before the menus are even closed. I almost guarantee you when they're getting close to making a decision, 2 things will happen. If they're wearing glasses, they'll take their glasses off while they're still looking at the menu. They'll pour either a glass of water or a glass of wine. That is the 30-second to 1 minute window of before they are ready to actually order their food. And there are little telltale subconscious things that these guys on the floor are catching on to. And if they've got a good manager, these are the things I used to install in my staff. Watch the habits, watch the body language. Yeah, it's all sorts of stuff they're reading on. So, I mean, these guys, like when you get people from hospitality that have been taught well, they know more about you by looking at you and sitting down with you. They're looking at your posture. They're looking at your haircut. They're looking at your clothes. They're looking at your mannerisms. They understand more about you than what you actually understand about them because they do that every day on a grind. And that's just front of house. We haven't even got to back of house, but we're talking about people in people business. So when you sit down at a restaurant and they're on fire, like their service is impeccable and you feel like they've given you everything you need, that's because they've been well groomed and you should probably offer them a job, get them out of hospitality, put them into something decent.
I mean, it'd be good if we was a tipping country as well, wouldn't it? You know, that'd definitely help.
Do you know what, Bart? And it's funny. My previous staff at my family's business, they used to get abundance of tips. And I used to say to them, I said, don't take it as a grain of salt. Like, understand this. We are not a tipping country. It's not ingrained us. It's not mandatory. If someone's parting with their hard-earned cash under that circumstance, that means you've done a phenomenal job. That means whatever you did, you just keep doing. It's a great telltale sign. I don't care if it's $5 or $150. It's all the same thing. They're parting with money on your behalf.
Let's talk about that. I'll tell you what my opinion is. I think because this is a country that takes care of people and wants to do that naturally versus, let's say, America, that's why I think tipping isn't a big thing here because people expect that the onus is on the business. What's your opinion on that? Is it similar?
Look, if we go into some of the different dynamics, the wages earned in America are absolutely awful. If they don't get tipped, they don't make money. You know what? It would be the equivalent of being a self-employed broker. Either do the job well, or you're not going to make money. In Australia, it's different. Like the wages that are earned in hospitality are at the same level as, like on a full-time basis as someone that's in a full-time administration job. Yeah. So it's not as bad. It's not to the same level as what you would see in the US. So it's hard to compare because you can't really compare apples to apples.
But that's why I said it, right? Because every time I go somewhere and I don't sit there and go, oh, Jesus, they're making me pay extra on a Sunday. I'm like, I know why I'm paying extra because they're getting paid extra, and that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in the US,
Yeah. It's different level, complete different level.
what was the gap between what you're doing now and leaving the family business? Was there anything in between?
Yeah. So look, funnily enough, the family business, I only just left that in the last year, and I actually doubled up and moonlighted with the brokering and with the restaurant. The brokering I still did full time. The restaurant I still did full time because it's a night restaurant. I could get away with it. I was working some horrendous hours. One, I could get away with it. Two, it built the kitty. Three, I was on a self-employed model. And I took a self-employed model because after 20 years of doing family business, turning up to work for someone else under a wage earner scenario might not have suited me too well. If I had the hindsight to go back and take a look at it, I think a salaried model is not a bad way to get yourself into mortgage brokering and gain your experience. It's a way to leverage yourself with a little bit less pressure. Because I mean, let's get serious. It takes you a couple of years to get your feet in this business. I've hit 2 years and I just feel like I'm getting my feet. I've got the referrals. I've got all these things moving. I've got people calling me. Today's prime example. Before our meeting, I've had 2 phone calls, 2 previous clients, 2 clients that want something else. I've actually submitted an application up to Macquarie for one of my clients from that phone call this morning, written the application, boom, it's off. And look, fingers crossed, I might even see an approval this afternoon with Macquarie and how fast they move. But you don't have, and you don't have this scenario when you're at the start. You don't have the ability to show proof on self-generated leads that you can do the job. You need mentoring. You need to be, given that lead up, and shown how to do things. And you need that team camaraderie and environment. It's important, particularly in this industry. And I truly believe in it even now. I think I'm still early stages and I still need that team vibe. Like we've got a little online chat and teams with all the guys that are in our 2 offices between not Vincentia, but Vincentia and Nara. Well, I didn't say, hold on, Nara. Um, but we've got like a chat and like it's called scenarios and policies. Like if one of us is stuck on something, we throw it on there. Hey boys, how are you? I'm working on this. Any thoughts? Like, this is my direction. What do you think? You need that in this industry. It's one of those things. There's a whole heap of other stuff that you need that I'm sure we'll go into. But if I had to go back and change the way I exited my family's business, it would have been do it earlier, do it on a salary basis.
So same as what I do, right? Like the best way and the way that I learned was celebrating everyone's wins as if they're
Yeah.
your own
Yeah.
and learning from everyone's shit fuck ups as if
Yeah.
they're your own as well. And lifting that person up, mate, you've made a mistake that I'm not going to make now because you've made it. So
Yeah.
thank you. Don't worry. We're going to lift you up. We're going to figure shit out together. You know what I mean?
Percent. Like a team lifts the team up, but I think you're exactly right in what you said. You either learn from someone's mistakes or you go back and you make it yourself. So, if someone's already made it and you've seen it, why would you go back and do it again? I think the team environment in this industry is huge and it's very underrated. But in saying that, I have also found that everyone in the finance industry is happy to reach out, have a chat, give a helping hand. Like I am absolutely like gobsmacked the difference in this industry in comparison to hospitality. Like a competitor's a competitor in hospitality. And look, you don't want to make enemies with people, but like this industry's friendly. Like, to be honest, if someone reached out to me and said, listen, how have you found hospitality? What's this? What's that? Mate, I'll dish it out all day long. Exactly how I've said it. If I was you, this is what I would do. These are the things I would have changed. This is what I would work on. This is what I would learn. This is where I'd put my focus. Yeah. So I can't fault the industry. It's amazing.
Going back to you starting as a broker, why did you choose finance? Like what was the from that?
Yeah, look, I was actually soft interviewing to go back into sales. I'd soft interview with an IT company. Actually, it was two of them that I'd soft interviewed with. I had an interest, like just with technology. I thought between, everything going on, AI and all that, that's just this big, everything's going to transition this way and upwards. It's just going to keep going. So I thought that was an avenue. I backed out of it because it just wasn't the vibe that I thought it would be. I knew that my franchisee had had his business partner exit out of the business, And he was actually my broker. So I called him, hey mate, how are you? How's things? I know this has happened. I know he's, shifted off and all the rest of it. What are you doing? What does it look like? Are you looking for a new business partner? And he goes, well, yeah, but you're going to have to do a few years in business before we even think about it. So why don't you come in? We'll have a chat. Laid it out plain and simple for me, what it looks like, what the industry is about. I don't know. I just didn't look back. I just went, yeah, like I love this opportunity. So it was more, the attraction was, I want to pivot and do something different. I want to get my time back with my family because restaurants at night is an absolute killer. What's going to tick that box for me? And I mean, look, I said it before, like I don't think I would be the person that could turn up to the bank branch and say, oh, okay, I'll take my 9 to 5 and I'll take my income and I'll do exactly what you told me. And, I won't move out of my lane. I'm not built that way. So this gave me the opportunity. What I didn't realize is how much about this industry I actually love. I love the fact that there's just everyday people out there that either don't have the knowledge or don't know the how or purely just want some direction or they want some guidance. And it fulfills a certain thing within me that I require because I've been doing hospitality for 20 years. Because the clients would turn up and it's, hi, how are you? And it's like welcoming people to your own home every single day. Sit down, let me take care of you. Can I get you a drink? Do you want something to eat? Are you happy with everything? There's an aspect of that with finance. If you treat it correctly, it is the exact same way. It's just the conversation's different. The conversation is, listen, what are you looking to achieve? What brings you here today? What do you hope to get? What's this outcome you're looking for? Great. Now tell me about you. Tell me about what's going on. And then you go into that solution providing. That goes into the, okay, well, look, I can see an avenue in and we're going to go down this way because this lender or this policy or whatever it might be, they view this way. Or it's I've built a relationship with a BDM and I'm able to pick their brain and I've gone, hey mate, how are you? Is this right? Am I rating policy correct? Does this fit correctly? This is my client. This is what they're trying to achieve. This is what they need to get themselves for. So like I said, it's the same story, just the wording's a little bit different. It has the same value, and I think if we just, and I'm sure everyone's very similar, if you just get back to customer first, customer focus, what is the solution to their problem? This is the best industry ever. Absolutely love it.
That's it. I think same with what I do, there's the ability to be a consultant and there's the ability to be an order taker. And it's not necessarily bad to be an order taker. Sometimes you're going over and saying, it is, what do you want from the menu today? Sometimes you're going over and say, here's what the chef recommends. All right, there's a party of 10 years. Here's why this might be good for you lot, whatever it might be, right? Sometimes you're taking an order. Sometimes you're consulting and understanding.
Yeah. And look, this is no offense to, we'll use the same terminology, order takers and someone that thinks out of the box a little bit. The world needs order takers. And there's people out there that are happy to do that job and they get their fulfillment for whatever reason it is. And there's people that are happy to deal with them. And then there's others that aren't happy to do that and they want something a little bit different. They want something a little bit more focused. They want a little bit more freedom to think, do and act. And then there's people in the world that actually need that. And I think this is where the broker space really starts to open up. There's a good reason why it has increased year on year, the amount of people that are using brokers. And I mean, what are we up to now? We're borderlining 80%, is it?
I want to say 77 points. That might be right. I've not got a photographic memory. I never claimed to be like bloody Mike Ross. I think that's the figure.
But I mean, it's massive.
People want people, man. That's what it is,
I think you hit it right on the head. Don't get me wrong. The banks, the lenders, they're not evil people. They've just got their business model. They've got their shareholders that they're responsible to. But for me, it's different. I don't have shareholders I'm responsible to. I have my client and I have me. And my responsibility to them is to find them the solution. My responsibility to me is I need to know that I gave it the best crack that I possibly could to get this person what they require so that I can put my head down to sleep at night. I'm just built that way. That's me. So the broker space works for me. Like that's golden opportunity. I get to make some cash and I get some fulfillment out of it at the same time.
I think that's what it is. That's why people are coming to the brokers. One, because you'll sit down with a broker and he's like, mate, talk to me. What's going on? How are you? And they're like, wow, this corporate fluffy layer has been removed. This person's actually interested in me and they're in my corner and they're going to understand what I want to do, as averse to how can the products we have solve a problem that we may or may not care if you have, right? It's the same with me. If I meet someone and I do a discovery meeting and I feel like my solutions aren't a good fit for what they need, I can recommend this person, that person, right? Banks are like, sorry, we don't do that. And some
Yeah.
bankers, I won't mention any names, but some that are clued on might have some, back alley handshakes that they can refer people off to, right? But most of the time it's like, yeah, sorry, we don't do that. See ya. And then they walk into Aussie and they're like, hang on a minute. You can help me with this.
Yeah. And look, same thing. Aussie was a perfect model for me to kickstart. Perfect. Look, they've got like onboarding processes that are second to none. I mean, they take you through this program, and what they do, they give you the confidence to get out there and do what I'm currently doing now. And I remember thinking, geez, so in a matter of weeks, they're going to have me writing deals. I got no idea. But can I tell you, the training that they do, and it is so like intense. They just get you to a point. It's like a little shove off the cliff. Here you go. You are the expert. Off you go. Let's get it done. You've got all these things to come back on and to help you with, and knowledge and tools and all the rest of it. So from that point of view, look, that was a fantastic door or avenue for me to get started. I don't know anything else because that's how I got in the industry. And I'm sure there's heaps of other fantastic opportunities out there for people to put a foot in the door. But I think you just got to find your space and your spot that works, and you just got to go do it. Like if people are even remotely thinking, I want to change and I think this is going to be the change I want, I'd be saying, listen, just
You
get
must be
in and give
reading
it a
my
go.
mind because you asked
Just
me number
you
one as
don't
my
want to
last
finish
two
up with any
questions there.
regrets. What's the
Moving
worst
on
thing
to
that
number
happens if you
two,
fail at it?
I was going to
Cool.
say
You
to
have
you,
a
I was
crack
going to
at
say,
it.
what would just
Or
suggest?
just dig deep and work a bit harder and get better at it.
Yeah. All right. So let's say you're looking at a kid who's 20, 25, 30, right? Working in hospo, and
Yeah.
they want to get into something else and
We,
it
we
happens
can
to
we,
be
we
finance.
can
What
get
are you
into it a little bit
recommending them
more.
to
That's all
do?
right. We just open the door a little bit. Yeah. I would, if there's anyone in their life that's already in finance, I'd reach out to them. I would ask the question, hey, listen, can we sit down? Can we have coffee? Can I pick your brain? I would get onto LinkedIn, make connections as quick as possible. I would call out over to Joe Shepherd, see if he can give you an assistance. But look, look, you've just got to start talking to people. You've just got to start getting a feel for it. But the one thing, as I said, it is all circumstantial. And, if we're going on that category of someone that's in that 25 to 30 area, I don't know if they're going to have a year's salary to carry them, right? Because really, you need a bit of financial backup if you're going in the self-employed model. And you have to, because it takes a while to build. That's the truth of it. I would say if you're going to go down that bit, start off on a salaried model, learn your skill set, or as much knowledge as possible. Just start writing deals. Just get into it, get it done, get a good mentor, make sure you've got a team around you that supports you. If you don't have those things, you change, you get out of where you are and you find that mentorship. Mentorship is key. Financial ability to carry yourself through while you're learning is key, because I don't care what anyone says, you're going to make mistakes. You are going to have a huge learning curve. Even if, and this is coming from my point of view, I understood, financial statements, profit and loss, all the rest of it, right? But I didn't understand lender or bank language. I didn't understand really what they're looking for. I didn't understand why some of them have one policy this way and another policy this way. I didn't understand what bank was trying to do. I didn't understand that they had their niches and they're categorizing their market to what they're trying to bring in. And they're trying to arrange risk aversion and all sorts of things that are going on behind the scenes that I'm sure even us as brokers aren't even seeing. But I didn't understand that stuff. So you need to have someone on your team, one, that will help you get the knowledge. Two, just got to get and have a go, just get it done. But I would just reach out, start talking to people, make connections on LinkedIn, pick people's brains. I mean, if someone reached out to me and said, hey, listen, I seen your thing, the podcast with Joe. Can I ask you a few questions, 5 minutes of your time?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'd happily donate my time. Happily. No issues at all. And I think this industry is like that. Like the more you reach out, the more you talk, the more people are willing to help. I'm blown away by the attitude. It was nothing to what I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a little bit, and go away, but we don't want to deal with you. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah, I
of that.
think it's one of them, right? I think people realize that
I
if
know,
they
and you
do
deal with
things that
more
elevate the
people than I
industry,
do in the business.
the
So
market
what does it look
share
like
and
for
the
you?
broker,
Is that the way
the
they're getting
percentage of
into it?
loans
Is
that are written by brokers is
how are
only
they
going to
doing it?
continue to increase because the industry is doing something good, right? People obviously know that. Let's say you walk into that Stone restaurant like you did, calling it back with that crack in it, and you went, oh my God, this looks shit, right? And if it was you as the
Mm.
decision maker, you would have called zero on that. You would have said, nah, no chance of me doing this, right? If someone walks into a broker and they have a bad experience, you can almost guarantee they're going to be shy to do it again. So what I'm trying to say is around the houses, if somebody you know or a broker you know gives a good service, it elevates the industry. If they don't, it could kind of knock it down. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. We're lucky enough that we're all in a business where there's enough going around for all of us, and I think you hit it right on the head. Bad news story, people will tell 10 out of 10 people. Good news story, let's say 1 or 2 out of 10. Bad news is always spread so much quicker than good news. And it's unfortunate that way. But yeah, like
You
just
just
need
need
to
the life
support each other in this
experience.
industry and, make it work, bring fresh blood in, get people in that have got this outside knowledge or influence or understanding of,
What does
just
the future
people in
hold for
general.
you? Because I think
Everything
we
else can be
touched on
taught.
it there, what you kind of led with, the
Something that
business
can't be
plan.
taught is
Is
people.
that
Yeah.
that
I
in the
mean, like
works? Is that
people is
something you
something
can
that's
talk about?
learned and it's learned over time and it's learned from experience. So funny. Yeah. Look, I'll touch on it lightly. There's a little bit of nuance in my future for the moment. And I don't think we've touched on this just yet. So I'll probably flip the coin on you here. Start of the year, my biological father passed away and he left a bit of an inheritance for me. So I'm reasonably cashed up to make some decisions and change some things in life. So my wife and I have bought a caravan and we are traveling Australia for the next year to 2 years. I'm lucky enough with my franchisee that he is very agreeable to me working on the road. Part of my agreement with this travel is I still want it to work. I still want to build my brokering business. I still want to build my commission book. I want to do all those things and I have all these aspirations, but I want to do some cool shit along the way too. And I'm lucky enough that I'm now in an industry that allows me to do that. I'm lucky enough that I have a franchisee that will allow me to do that. That's not something that's going to come up all the time. So I'm definitely
Sorry to hear that, mate. Like,
leveraging
I know that
every
the
bit of
money,
the industry I'm
the
in
money's
and the
nothing without the
relationship I
person at the end of
have
the day, but
to
like
do all this cool
doing
crap in
something
life that I
like
want
that
to
is
do
what they
and
would have wanted you to
still make
do.
some
Do you know
money
what I
along
mean?
the
Like
road
before you
and
really kick off
build
this
my own business.
final stage of your life, so to speak. Like,
Correct. Yeah. So to give you the backstory on it as well, so my dad had this camper van and I was always into him like, listen, Dad, just go travel, like go do, stop sitting in the van there. I don't care if you come visit me, we can do like a FaceTime with my daughter and, you can do all that kind of stuff. It's all doable. We're in the world of technology. But what I want you to do, go around, meet some cool people, get a little bit too drunk with them, have a great time, move on, do the next thing and experience. Like spend those last remaining years of your life just absolutely living it up and having a great
for
old
him
time.
in his honor as
And
well, right?
unfortunately, he didn't. So the way I look at it is if I am good enough to tell him that that's what he needs to do with his life, probably good enough to do it myself. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, look, I'm very fortunate in the situation I'm in. And I think, my mindset is I'm going to take a negative that is a negative in my life. And it's a big, it's a big one, to lose a parent is pretty huge. But I'm going to turn it into something positive. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Money's money, it comes, it goes. It's just one of those things. Like if you've got the knowledge and the know-how of money, it's not a rare commodity. It's just something that will keep turning up. But the one thing that you can't get back is time. So, I suppose the other way I'd leave this conversation is if you're sitting on the fence about whether you want to get into brokering or you want to stay in the job that you really hate and you're not enjoying or you're not getting fulfillment out of, life is too short. You just got to go do. You just got to jump in. You just got to have a crack. Time just goes quicker and quicker as we get older. So, and the other thing is like, I suppose coming back around as well, one of the things why I switched to this industry as well, I can do this to the ripe old age of whenever the hell I like. I don't have to be physically necessarily fit or a certain health level. I just need to be sharp in my mind and, have the drive to still want to help and do things for people. There's no reason why I can't do this business until 70 plus, if that's what I choose to do. I mean, that's to me, big bonus. That's huge. Because I can tell you now, hospitality, I cannot do that until I'm 70. I can't be running plates. I can't be working 90-hour weeks. I can't be,
I
like
agree.
all these
I
things that
agree, mate. Well, look, I just
it's
want to
taught
say,
me, but there
hope
is some
the travel
downside
goes
too.
well.
Like
I'm
there's
sure I'm going to see a lot of your videos and
a
stuff on
line that has
LinkedIn
to
because you're
be,
going to have to keep busy.
dealt with that there's a
Thank you
certain
for
age where
coming
you
on,
just
mate.
can't keep doing that.
Yes, please do. And look, before you leave, I don't know when that is going to be. It's crossed I might be able to get over there and come down. But yeah, mate, look, thanks for jumping on and
Yeah,
sharing your
yeah.
story with
I'll
me
make sure
today.
you send some special ones with better water than Jervis Bay, mate.
Yeah, I think me and another guy. Sounds good. Take it easy, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.
Appreciate it. Look
Bye.
forward to seeing you down here. Maybe we can catch up for a beer. Sounds good. All right, mate. Thank you. Appreciate it.